Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel and my second One Book July update. So it's the 10th, 11th of July. I'm filming on my phone. Long story, but I've traded in my my vlogging camera. I don't know what's happening with my hair right now. I've traded in my vlogging camera and it is currently with Jessup's, waiting for stock for the new camera. So we just are dealing with my phone right now, and I'm using the front-facing camera. We'll see how we do. For the most part, I don't really mind, because most of this video is not going to be me talking to a camera. This is just my intro. So for the most part, we are going to be looking at my screen, and I'm going to try and work out how I deal with talking while doing a screencast. That's going to be a fun thing to learn. So it's day 11 of July, which means we're a third of the way through the month. I had hoped to do a week by week update, but camera issues. Yeah, hence the reason why there hasn't been a podcast in almost 2 months. So yes, but I wanted to show you how I'm getting on with my digital yarn journal stuff. So I will show you in a minute, and we'll switch to my screen so you can see. I will film it on my Mac, so you'll be seeing the, for those of you who didn't watch my intro video, I am creating a digital yarn journal to replace basically what I'm walking away from with Ravelry on OneNote. Now, obviously OneNote is owned by Microsoft. It's part of the Microsoft Office suite of programs. But I am using my Mac, my Microsoft Surface laptop, and my iPad, also my iPhone as well, to access the different apps for OneNote. So each of those those kind of pieces of kit have look different. So I think probably the last video I do, I'll show you how the finished product looks on all 4 of those different ways of looking at it. We'll see how that works, just so you can get an idea of how things work. Obviously the Microsoft, so the actual laptop will, because that's the desktop version that has all the bells and whistles, so that is, I'm mostly working actually on my laptop for it, but my Mac has been incredibly helpful, obviously with the big screen and being able to use it. But the Windows for Office for Mac suite of programs are not as, there's not as much going on in them, and there's things that you can do in the Microsoft version that you can't do in the Mac version, which is really interesting. But yes, so I'll show you what I've been doing rather than waffling on now and just talking to the camera, and I hope that it's helpful. So we are currently looking at the full screen of my OneNote on my Mac. As you can see, it is the Mac desktop app is relatively sparse if you are used to OneNote, but I thought it would be it's quite a clean interface, so it's quite a good one to start with. So I have 3 notebooks. Oh, my yarn one has just decided to sync itself, and obviously I've said I use actually 4 devices to access OneNote. This Mac, my Microsoft Surface laptop, which has probably the more comprehensive of the desktop apps, and then also the iPad app and the iPhone app. So my heart belongs to Apple for the most part, but having a laptop, which is Microsoft, is quite useful. I actually use it for the most part for work. So you've got my 3 notebooks there. This is my kind of everyday, I just shove loads of stuff in there. There's lots of recipes and home stuff and all sorts of stuff. This is work, which is a shared notebook, and then I have my yarn one. So if you go into yarn, I have lots of different tabs. So OneNote is basically like a tabbed notebook but digital, and you can make them all pretty colours. You can choose the colour of your notebook as well. And then within those tabs, you then have pages and sub-pages. So this is kind of how I am working right now. I have, for the most part, followed the kind of outline areas within Ravelry that I use the most, obviously apart from forums, and then added some myself. So I have a year planner. Now, in normal years, i.e. not a pandemic, what I would plan to do is to put a whole year planner and to put in, so have like a year at a glance and put in all the yarn shows and any alongs that I want that were time specific and things like that. So that's my plan, is that I'll probably still do it for 2020 because I can put things like Stash Dash and things like that, and I'll probably just do the latter half. So from June to December. Yes? No, July to December. So that I still have to do to put in kind of the alongs. Obviously there won't be any yarn shows, but if there's any virtual yarn shows that I want to be, obviously I'm taking part in, actually I haven't told you this, have I? I am a podcaster for Perth Festival of Yarn, even though that's now virtual. So I'll be involved in the Zoom lounges that are happening over the weekend. So things like that, that's my plan, is to put in this very blank space right now. And then I have my Christmas 2020, which I've made a sub page of, the 2020 thing, which is basically just a list of the Christmas yarn I've ordered. And as you can see, I have 3 advents coming and one 12 days box, and I think I'm probably going to try and do another 12 days box, which I think I'm going to try and do the It's a Stitch Up one, and then I have a Christmas Eve box as well coming from Gemma of the Project Bag. So that's just I don't know why I put yarn there. I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. So with OneNote, those of you who are not familiar with OneNote, you can basically click your cursor anywhere and just start typing, which is really handy because it means you can move things around. And yeah, I really enjoy the OneNote interface for that, and I'll show you a few other bits as we go along. I then have a YouTube. I did start calling this podcast and then realised that actually I'm trying to diversify a little bit in terms of YouTube, including onebookjuly. So these are the things I want to talk about today. One thing, and this has reminded me, I have done some screenshots from Ravelry in order to kind of start me off with getting all my information off that website. One of the things, and I will show you, is that one that OneNote does amazingly is it will actually read text off images. There is a, and I will show you, there is a feature where you can literally right click on an image and it'll say copy text from image, which I love and has made my job a lot easier in terms of starting to pull some data off like my project pages and stuff. As we go through, I'll show you the bits that I've been able to download from Ravelry, but there are certain bits that you can't, not in an easy way anyway. At the end, I'll talk a little bit about ProCreate and what I've been doing in terms of that, but we'll come to that later. And what we're doing now is my setup so far on OneNote. So literally, it's just tiny little things. I think I created this page on my phone on the go. I was sat at a hospital appointment, nothing serious, don't worry. And I just kind of went, right, what do I want to say? Episode 28, these are my show notes. I have actually filmed this episode twice, and both times the camera was an absolute pain in the behind. So I still need to film this. And then I have this index, which will eventually, I will have linked a link there. So annoyingly, you can do it, but it's a bit clunky on this on the Mac version of OneNote, but on the desktop, the Windows version of it, you can insert a link and link it to a different page. So eventually I will have a link to the episode 28 page. What date I filmed it, there should be a, let's do that now. So upload, this should uploaded. And then I'll have, there we go. So I've uploaded it, I've checked the subtitles. That's one thing in terms of my accessibility kind of goals for moving forward with my podcast, is ensuring that the subtitles are as good as they possibly can be. I am very well aware that I talk fast, and for those of you who don't know, you can actually slow me down if you wanted to in the YouTube settings. but I'm also making it making a point to go in to the subtitles, the automatically generated ones, and edit them to make sure that what they think I'm saying, I'm actually saying. Then the date that it goes on to Patreon. If it's a podcast, it will they'll get them 48 hours in advance. If it's a Patreon exclusive, then it won't be published publicly on YouTube. And then I'll tick it when I've put it on my Instagram to say that I've put it on my socials. Then there's a list of video ideas that, again, I literally just scribbled while I was at this hospital appointment. Then we have designing. As most of you know, I am currently in the final stages of sorting out my first ever pattern, which is my radiating squares Tunisian crochet. There is a link, so I'll show you how I've done this. So I did this in my on my Windows laptop, where you can link to other pages, which is really helpful. This is a very helpful sketch piece of paper that Michelle from the Loveliest Yarn Company has offered as part of her downloads you can do on her Facebook group. I don't know if it's also on her website, but it's really good for kind of sketching out squares and stuff like that. So I'm not giving away any of the secret sauce here of the pattern, but it's just all my notes and stuff, which is really handy. Moving on to projects, I am going to give a trigger warning here that if you have been sensitive to the Ravelry pages, this is screenshots of classic Ravelry, but it's still in the new style. So I know some people, myself included, have been getting eye strain from even being on classic Rav because it's a skin on the new website. It is not the old code. Although, not that we've been told that by Ravelry. I think we've all there's quite a few of us that have deduced that. So yes, I'm going to click on here, but what I will do on the screen is I will pop a timestamp. So if you are finding yourself having issues with Ravelry, please do not watch the next however many minutes while I'm on these screenshots, because I do not want people getting ill. So I have an in progress section. So if I collapse these down, so my kind of main pages in my projects tab is my in progress, which has a linked index page to all of the current projects that I have in progress. And as I finish these, I will take these off this particular one and I will put the link into the relevant year. So obviously we're in 2020. I will put a link the link that's in here, I will copy it into here as they become completed. And then I've got past years, and I'll show you that in a bit. If we uncollapse, expand, that's the word I'm looking for. I have basically, all I've done is I have screenshotted and put an image into OneNote of my project page. And obviously this one's quite a large one because it's my scrappy square a day blanket. What I will do is I'll go into Jinx Vest, because that's quite a nice easy one, and show you the brilliant thing that OneNote does, and it's one of my favourite things that OneNote does, is, so this is an image, it's a JPEG. You can copy text from picture and then paste. So it's not perfect, but it will save you from lots of typing. So you'll see you've got the names, yeah, literally, because it's going. I think how OneNote does this is it reads per column. So you'll see you've got this column is actually the names of the kind of subtitles, and then this column is the info. So actually what I'd probably do is just get rid of all of this. There we go. And then you've got a very, very basic amount of info that has been copied from this. Then that means you can use this information and create a table, or as I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be creating my template and then kind of moving some of these words to different boxes within my template. So really handy feature. I'm going to delete this for now. So this is basically the screenshots of Ravelry, and then as they get completed, I will just move, and you can with OneNote, you just literally click and drag your pages into another section. And I am going to go in and I don't know if I'll do it from all my completed ones so far, but my current in progress ones, they will go into the new template. For past years, I have just got
a list from that particular year in the project from kind of the list format or view. Then moving on to the alongs, this is quite sparse at the moment, but eventually there'll be a linked index, and this is all the kind of big alongs that I have where I want to keep track. So for me this year it's dash dash, so these are my dash dash running totals. I am aiming for 5,000 this year. I'm not doing very well, but I'm hoping that my 2 tests will help me. And then the Wet Coast Walls bingo along, which is going on. I need to do my winter holiday in July objects, which will probably just be 2 baubles, but we will see. But yes, that will be my kind of place for alongs that I'm doing where I need to kind of keep track of things. I'll also probably have 1 page of all the other alongs that I'm trying to take part in that year, and like start dates, end dates, how you, if there's a hashtag, all that kind of jazz. Moving on to my queue, this is another something you can download from Ravelry. Let me show you the quick look. So this is not a screenshot. This is something that Ravelry does as a PDF download of your queue. Now, my queue is 22 pages long. There's over 200 things in my queue because that's kind of how I kept up with things that I wanted to do. But it is in the order in which you put things in your queue. So I've got all those things, all that information. I've got the pictures, all that kind of jazz. And I started. So actually, what I did is I did a printout, which is basically where an image of that PDF is then put into your OneNote, and I started to use the text in the image function to create this table. It is very rough and ready, but this is what I'm going to be using to then create my queue template when I make it all pretty. So pattern designer source, where that pattern is stored, whether I've got it as a PDF that is downloaded, or whether I've got it as printed, or whether I still have to buy it, and where I buy it from. So website, I know when I see it's Faye, I know it's the Provenance Craft Co. But if it's a particular website that I have to go to, then I will. I'll put the URL or where it's stored. The other kind of little pages that I've got here are if I see any others that I want to make, and I just kind of either do clippings of them, or this came straight from my phone, I think, actually. So I was in the Etsy app, and I will show you. I'll put a little screen grab of my phone to show you what that was, how I did it. So you basically, I think I was in my Etsy app, I saw this listing, and then I clicked my share to OneNote, and it kind of creates a new page. I started doing collections in Lovecrafts, because another place where you can download that's not Ravelry, and so that's a link to my collection for my garments that I've been kind of saving some things in there. And this is a screen clipping from a desktop page. So this is in Chrome. I wonder if I can show you. So in Chrome, let's say this is some of the bundles that I'm using in ProCreate to make things pretty. There is if you look up in the top right hand corner, there is an extension that you can create called the OneNote Clipper, and you can clip the whole page, or you can clip a region. So that's what I did for this pattern, and then you can show where you want to clip it to, and that's really handy. So that is what I did with this Etsy page. I love this maxi dress, it's so beautiful. So I've clipped it and put it into my queue area. Library. This is quite sparse, but another thing you can download from Ravelry is a spreadsheet of everything that's in your library. I went in and spent about a day and a half downloading all my PDFs that I had purchased through Ravelry slowly because eye strain, but you can also download a spreadsheet that shows you all of the different ones you have. So if I show you the quick look, you've got you've got the link, you've got when I added it to my Ravelry library, when it was published, what type of pattern it is. Although this isn't very helpful, I don't think. It would be much more useful if it was like is it a garment? Is it a shawl? That kind of thing. But it's useful in its own right. So yes, and all of my PDFs are saved to my OneDrive. So I have Microsoft OneDrive. We have an Office 365 subscription in this household, so we do get a OneDrive area, so that's what I use, and I also have backed up all my PDFs to my external hard drive as well, which I use for my videos, but it's got 8 terabytes, so it's got quite a lot of space. And then these are my categories for, so my library of PDFs, I've got all my PDFs saved into these categories as well, and at the moment these pages are blank, but if I've clipped from a website, say, I will put it as a sub page under these pages. So this is where the Sophie's Universe stuff is. I do actually own the book, but if I just wanted to quickly go to one particular keyword, if I'm out and about, not that I would be with my Sophie's Universe because it's huge now, but if I've clipped it from a blog post, these are really cute. They will all go in here. If there's any techniques as well, then I've got a techniques bit which is just in OneNote. I haven't saved these to my PDF library, but techniques is quite useful if you come across something on Pinterest of how to do a particular stitch. So yes, that's my library tab. Collection is what I call my stash, and these are all blank at the moment, but again, it's another Ravelry download. I have done a bit of work on it by colour coding, by weight of yarn, but this is everything that I had in my stash. There's quite a lot of it, so I need to work through it and work out how I'm going to translate this spreadsheet into something that's a bit nicer to look at in all of these, including pictures as well, because obviously all my pictures from Ravelry have not come over with me, so I'm probably going to spend a day taking pictures of my stash and have them all consistent, which will be quite nice, and then put into these once I've created my template. Needles, there is nothing in here. The Ravelry collection for, or rather the pages for hooks and needles, was not inspiring, so I've got a few ideas of how I want to set this out so that I can maybe take photos of my needles and put notes about which ones I use the most, putting my interchangeables in, all sorts of stuff. Info is literally that, it's things that don't really fit. I haven't done an index yet, but I've got a placeholder. My family feet, how big the feet are in my family, very interestingly. This is a quick link to Knit Companion's tutorials pages. I have the full whack Knit Companion, so the setup plus essentials. It is worth the money for the annual subscription. I use Knit Companion for all my patterns. It goes on my phone, it goes on my iPad, and it helps me not have to print out things and kill lots of trees. So I absolutely love Knit Companion, and you can download directly from Ravelry, hence and also that means you can bypass the actual page, which is helpful. This just made me laugh. How many sheep does it take to make a scarf? Always helpful. And then this is a printout of a PDF that the lovely Michelle from the Loveliest Yarn Co. Created this 90 days of knitting planner that I filled in this time last year, I think. Annoyingly, it hasn't come through as well, which is annoying, but I used my Apple Pencil to fill it out, even though you can't see the background. But yes, and also you can, the sketch page you saw in my earlier with my designing, so you can, with PDFs, you can choose to just put it in as a PDF attachment, and then you can just click on it, or you can choose to put it out as a screenshot. There's a 90-day tracker. There's all sorts of things in here. So if you do want to join her Facebook group, this is available on her Facebook group, her little community site. But this is really handy, and if there's any kind of templates or anything like that I like the look of, I'll put them in here. And then to file is literally that. So if I'm going to be clipping something, normally what I would probably do is put it in the to file section, and then when I come back into my notebook, when I've got some time, I'll then move pages around and generally just go in here first and tidy up a little bit, rather than try and decide where something lives as I'm clipping it from a website or Pinterest or whatever. So that's it. That is currently what my yarn planner looks like. It's not pretty at the moment. What I have been doing is using my Skillshare annual subscription. I am subscribed to Skillshare and I'm really enjoying using it. Annoyingly, I still haven't got an affiliate code that I can send or that I can put below this video to get you 2 months free. But do go and have a look on over there. I've been using it for ProCreate, so I'm currently doing the every Tuesday ProCreate for Beginners program, which is really, really good. I will put a little screen grab in here of me creating a kind of mandala type thing. It was a lot of fun and very relaxing. And then, so that's been really fun. I've also been using it for things like learning about Final Cut Pro, which is the software I use for my videos. I've done a couple of spinning on drop spindle classes. It's really good, and I will be using it to learn how to use my new camera as well. So there is every Tuesday, if you are interested in ProCreate, every Tuesday does have a YouTube channel that has lots of different tutorials on it. So do go and have a look at that as well. Right, guys, that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Do please comment below if there's anything that you want answering. And please do like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this video. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you soon.